There, it's recording.
All right, let's do this. Welcome back to Stay Off My Lawn, segment 2, and we are very professional today, and we're gonna talk about Kilmar. Kilmar.
The Maryland man, the Maryland man. He's back in the bakery, the U.S.
Kilmar, I'm home. You got some splaining to do. Oh my gosh, he's
this upstanding father who's done people in and has a rap sheet that they brought him back to the U.S. for a reason, didn't they?
He did. He's in jail in Tennessee right now, up in Tennessee. I was going to go visit him, but Chris Van Hollen's got him all booked up through the weekend. Good gracious. The way he looked at him when he was down there. Did you ever see any of those pictures of when they was visiting him in jail? He looked at him like a man would look at his wife after their first anniversary. I was like, with his loving eyes. It's like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, and he's brought back to the U.S. not because of that lovely senator either.
No, Pam Bondi, our lovely Attorney General, she gave a speech on why this poor Maryland man came back, allowed to come back. Anyway, it wasn't just to smack his wife around a little bit more. It was about other things, and she lists
Such
them
a
off.
good family man, though.
Yeah. Okay. Here's Pam listing all those things for us.
Grand jury found that over the past 9 years, Abrego Garcia has played a significant role in an alien smuggling ring. They found this was his full-time job, not a contractor. He was a smuggler of humans and children and women. He made over 100 trips, the grand jury found, smuggling people throughout our country. MS-13 members, violent gang terrorist organization members throughout our country. Thousands of illegal aliens were smuggled. This is especially disturbing because Abrego Garcia is also alleged with transporting minor children. The defendant traded the innocence of minor children for profit. There are even more disturbing facts that the grand jury uncovered. It is alleged this defendant is part of the same smuggling ring responsible for the death of more than 50 migrants in 2021 after the tractor trailer overturned in Mexico. This is part of that same ring. The defendant abused undocumented alien females, according to co-conspirators who were under his control while transporting them throughout our country. This defendant trafficked firearms and narcotics throughout our country on multiple occasions. They were using vehicles, SUVs, with added seats in the back, floors that had been ripped out, guns, narcotics, children, women, MS-13 members. That is what the grand jury found. A co-conspirator alleged that the defendant solicited nude photographs and videos of a minor. A co-conspirator also alleges the defendant played a role in the murder of a rival gang member's mother.
So apparently it wasn't his mother's pupusa stand down in El Salvador that was the cause for him to come to the U.S. It was about money, just about everything else, just like everything else.
Well, you got to get a job where you can find it, I suppose. Good Lord Almighty. It's like the headlines were, oh, he's back in it. And I'm not hearing anything from the left about, oh, hey, he's finally back. And then, no, he's not.
Supposedly, there was some tweets from Van Hollen, that senator from Maryland, that trying to excuse a lot of this. Oh, it's just accusations. It's like, but I looked at his account, and it was basically just saying, oh, the Trump administration is just mean. So I mean, whatever.
They're blaming all the rioting on Trump because he brought in they were already burning cars and stuff, and things were upended before anything was even sent in, but they're blaming him. They were doing that because of him.
Oh yeah, I mean, it never let any news headline go to waste. I mean, I
Yeah,
saw a
this.
meme the other day that they said, these protesters, these guys that are burning stuff and looting stores. It's like one of the safest places you can be in LA right now is in a bookstore. They're not going to go in there and steal that stuff. That would be they have to read. Anyway, so we'll have to
Oh,
we'll have
yeah.
to.
I'm not hearing anything about, and the Maryland man is back in the U.S. today. Nope, not a word. I'm not hearing a peep. If it wasn't for all of our different sources on social media and stuff, not a word would we know anything about it. Because she went out and did this, and it's not been on anything but Fox. I've not seen her do the speech, and nobody's carrying it.
No, I had to piece that together because they wouldn't carry the whole thing all at once. I had to
Yeah,
piece it together with three different clips.
yeah.
Uh, but but they're not even using that term Maryland man anymore. They know
No,
that
and
that's
I
fallen
like
on
that term.
it too. It does. It reminds me of the gingerbread man, and I do miss that.
Oh,
But
Lord.
Kilmar's got some splaining to do, so we'll
Yeah,
have to.
his narrative isn't fitting anymore, so he's being tossed aside like an old wet sock.
Speaking of old wet socks,
What a segue by
we
who says we aren't professionals?
we is professionals. Corinne Jean-Pierre has left the Democratic Party and is now publishing a book. I
But I heard she
know.
was transitioning.
Yeah, it's yeah, not that kind of transitioning. Yeah,
Well, that's the way it was put out there.
I
You go,
know. I
well,
know.
it's her, and it's like, okay.
She's part of the alphabet mafia, but not that part of the alphabet. So anyway, the book is called Independent: A Look Inside a Broken White House Outside the Party Lines. That's a mouthful. I mean, who knew she could write? I mean, I just had no idea that she can't speak very well. So, I mean, probably one of the worst. I mean, she seems like a nice enough person, but she's probably one of the worst um, uh, press
Press
secretaries
secretaries,
that
yeah.
we've seen in a long time. I think Bush had one, some guy, and I can't remember his name. That's how bad he was. I can't even remember what his name was, but he had a bad one too, and I can't
Yeah.
remember. But anyway, I mean, it's obvious even when you can tell. And her predecessor. Jen Psaki wasn't very good either. I mean, she had
Well,
the one of
she
the
went
big.
to MSN. Speaking of Peppermint Patty, she went to MSN, and Rachel Maddow didn't want to do a weekly show, and the numbers were kind of going crappy. So they went, you know what, Jen, why don't you take over this show? Kept the same name. I don't even remember that. I don't watch it. Never have. But yeah, numbers dropped double of what Maddow had lost.
And Maddow is terrible. I mean, so that
Oh,
that really
yeah.
says a lot.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's bad. Their average ratings on a daily basis 500,000.
Goodness gracious.
That's
I heard MSNBC is even worse. I mean, that's CNN, right? Or is that
no,
MS?
she's on MSNBC. Yeah, no, that's what I mean. They're down just absolutely atrocious numbers.
I can't believe
Uh,
people are even buying their advertising or
well,
buying.
that's what they're running into trouble, and they're not being supported by, well, you guys are going a downship, and this isn't working anyway, so we're not going to give you any more funds. And CNN is they've gone back to being hardcore libbies, and it's with Tapper on there, he's just a moron.
Yeah, he is. He is. But I mean, maybe we could advertise the podcast on MSNBC. We might be able to get like a 30-second spot for $20. I think we could,
Fire sale going, going, going. Be
we
sure
could
you get it
afford
before July for sale because now is the time. Yeah, I don't think it's going to help.
that. Get your slot before Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. But apparently, this book is about the Biden's cognitive decline and the cover-up, which oddly enough, she was the biggest mouthpiece for that
It
cover-up. So
was the biggest cover up of the whole
I just don't
whatever.
understand. We live in an upside-down world.
Oy,
CNN
oy, oy.
Scott Jennings, probably the only voice of reason on that network anymore, once again saying the quiet parts about all this out loud. Here he is.
I agree with you. I don't think she will, although I would argue that it's pretty disloyal to leave the political party that, gave you your biggest career shot that you've ever had. But I tend to agree with you. I mean, I think the things we've learned in the last 2 years is that the two least credible sources of information in this world are the Gaza Health Ministry and Karine Jean-Pierre. And when she puts this book out, Every single person who reads it, reviews it, or discusses it needs to remember that virtually everything she said about what was going on behind the scenes in the White House was an outright lie. And so when she puts a book out, I think we ought to treat it from a source that has a proven track record of lying from the podium of the White House to the American people.
But we will.
That's the thing. It's like, how in the world, now all of a sudden, now I'm credible. Now you need to listen to me.
Yeah, let me see. No.
If I'm wrong, and we've done this on the podcast, if I've said something that was wrong, I'll just say, look, I said something, I spoke out of turn. I shouldn't have said that, and we don't have to do that very often because we're pretty measured on what we say. But at the same time, it's like she never apologized for lying about, oh, he's sharp as a tack. I mean, none of that has come out. Come on
No.
now.
And the closest Tapper came for his book, which I understand is not selling well, came for his book was, well, we missed it. What? Did you have blinders on, or were you wearing the bee mask? I don't want to say what my daughter calls it, but the bee mask for night sleep? You missed it that bad? You had to be blind to miss it.
This was not a fastball, the bottom of the ninth that you missed. This was a softball coming right at you. So I don't.
Oh,
Whatever. We all have to. We. I'm trying to remember what else I was going to say, and I had it, and it's gone. But anyway, you know what? We won't even fix that in post again. We never do. But anyway, mom and dad had a big fight this past weekend. Trump and Elon. Since I forgot what I was going to say, we're just going to move on to the next story.
Mr. and Mr. President.
Yeah. I mean, I hate it when mom and dad fight. They air all the dirty laundry on social media.
They both own social medias. I suppose they can trade anyway.
I suppose, but I mean, Trump, Elon owns Twitter, and he has not banned Trump from saying things bad about him. I think that speaks volumes right there. But anyway, they're having an all-out war. Supposedly, there's been an update that Elon has deleted some of his nastier tweets, the ones about Epstein and the whole thing. So hopefully things are straightening out a little bit. Let me try to see. There was I think Elon came out and said that the LA riots, that the administration's taken the right tactic on fixing that. So I mean, there's a little bit of an olive branch there, but anyway, after all this, and
It might
Trump,
have a few thorns from like an olive tree that we have those out here, and they have thorns that are about 2.5, 3 inches long on them. So here, I'm going to extend this.
that sounds
It'll hurt.
delightful. Yeah, 2.5 inches of a thorn. That sounds beautiful. But Trump said it was about the EV mandate going away, and maybe that was part of it. But it seems like Elon would have known that. I mean, that was one of the things that he ran on to get rid of that. So I don't know. But one of our favorite outspoken and incredibly smart people, Batya Ungar Sargon, I can never say that right. But she was asked about this on Megyn Kelly's show the other day, and she thinks this whole feud runs a little bit deeper than what we suspect.
Be specific about what it is Elon is or has been doing that turns you off so much.
His entire supply chain is in China, and he is unbelievably close with the CCP. Xi Jinping asked him to build a showroom for Tesla in Xinjiang, which is where the Uyghurs are being genocided, and he complied. He didn't have to do that. He's the richest man on the planet. So he has this unbelievably obsequious relationship with China, who I believe is our greatest adversary. I don't see how you can truly be an American patriot when you have to bend the knee to China and have proven willing to bend the knee to China over and over again. He's such a maverick on Twitter when it comes to American politics, but he has never once said a negative word about the CCP, which of course engages in tons and tons of, human rights violations, the genocide of the Uyghurs, and of course undermines America at every turn that it can. The way that he related to American workers over the H-1B visa squabble over Christmas, when he literally endorsed a tweet calling Americans retarded, I really, really, really didn't like that. I don't think he has the same values as the MAGA movement. He's not religious. He has this kind of transhumanist view. He thinks that Americans are going to be, people are going to become computerized and that intelligence is going to be machine made. all of this stuff for me really puts him at odds with the values of the MAGA movement.
She knew a whole lot more about Elon than I did. All I know is what's kind of projected out there. So that's all some interesting information.
Yeah, and there's been some others that have went, really, is this really a feud? Because they've known each other. They knew that, I mean, he was not, like she was saying, MAGA material, but he was supporting stuff and brought in a brainiac team to go through all this stuff in the government, and they are finding where things went, how they got there, and these guys who had that were dipping in the old U.S. aid pond, shall we say, are going, uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
Who was it that was it? Kerry that yeah, they found out he no, it was Comey, that's who it was, who got a bid from him, and he approved to him from himself for $16 million. It's like,
that doesn't sound corrupt.
Somebody goes, how did this work? And he just went on and just ignored the question, went right on. Somebody else asked something. And
they do, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, he didn't even acknowledge him. It didn't even exist. Really? You approved $16 million to yourself. Wow.
Yeah, that kind of corruption is getting weeded out. Now the Doge team is still working, right? Even though
yes, they are still working. Okay. My favorite member of the team, Big Balls, is still there. So
you just like his name. You wanted that name, and it's already been taken. So I mean,
I tried.
Your problem. Anyway, moving on. This past weekend we did the Republican convention for the state of Georgia, and this is the first time we've done anything like that. It was interesting, fun, and a little concerning, because people are strange. Sometimes it's they really are. I mean, Republicans are no different than Democrats. Sometimes they're a bunch of whiny people, and it drives me crazy. But sometimes it's tough to see a lot of hope for the future because so many young people have been indoctrinated by their universities or whatever across Europe and North America both. But after attending this, we saw a lot of the whining. There was people that got up there. They had 4 microphones set up there when we were going to do the vote on Saturday, and we were voting in the officers and everything, and people were up there at the microphone just complaining about everything. It's like, well, somebody said something nice about our candidate that it wasn't. It's like, what is wrong with you people? I felt like I could have been at a Democratic convention because I'm sure that there's a lot more of that goes on. But that being said, I was encouraged by one young man who ran for and won the assistant secretary position. He actually came around and shook my hand beforehand. I had not known about him prior. But anyway, he went up there and gave a speech. And it was probably the best speech of the day. Him and Buddy Carter, who's actually going to be running against John Ossoff in the Senate race next year. They both gave excellent speeches. I don't have Buddy Carter's speech, but I do have Jaquan. His name is Jaquan Stembridge. He was fantastic. He did the typical, like I said, he made his rounds talking to people, and he's just a nice kid, but he's 18 years old. Keep that in mind when you hear this speech. He is absolutely incredible. So here's that.
I got involved in politics in 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic because I saw just how bad government overreach can be on your life. I grew up an only child in a single-parent household in a Democrat household, so I was always taught that the Republican Party was the party of rich white men and cared nothing about people that looked like me. Well, during COVID, I was able to see that was far from the truth. But now I'm going to be your assistant secretary because, folks, the fact of the matter is, it is time to give young people and Gen Z a seat at the table. We are in the fight of our lives for conservatism. Don't you sit back and think for 1 second that just because President Trump just won a huge election, that everything's going to be fine. The Democrats are already going to the high school campuses. They're going to the college campuses. They are indoctrinating an entire generation of voters. And what are we doing about it? Absolutely nothing. We need to follow in the footsteps of Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan once said that freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction, and my friends, Ronald Reagan was right. We need to do the things that Ronald Reagan did. Bring our message to college campuses. Bring our message to high school campuses. Meet my generation right where they are and show my generation that conservatism still works. And who is better to bring that message to my generation than someone from my generation? So over the last 3 months, I've had the opportunity to meet so many of you, to hear all of your stories and to hear about what made you become a conservative. My goal now is to make sure that we can bring that message to my community and to the young people so we can show them why our party is so good and not just why the Democrats are so bad. My goal now also is to grow the party. We need to have an ambassador to young people, an ambassador who will go to the black community and tell them what we stand for. The assistant secretary should be someone who is ready to put in the work and get the job done. And over the last 3 months, I've shown you that I am ready to work. I will do whatever I can to help get quality conservatives elected. So I would be honored to have your vote if you're ready to become the party of the future and stop being the grand old party of the past. I'm Jay Johnson.
Anyway, I apologize how bad that sounded, and I may have to send that to you so you can.
You may have to, because I could hear little bits and pieces because it was like, what?
It was terrible about that. It cuts off all this audio, and it's probably bad enough on my end. So I'll send that to you after we're done.
Okay, I'll put that in that segment of sound.
And so anyway, we're up against a break again. When we come back, we're going to hear from another young person. This time it's somebody from Europe, and they have a similar message. So it's pretty encouraging. So hang in there. We'll be right back.